Good evening, everybody. Uh, Today, it actually only 2 days is remaining to finish our webinar 2020 on behalf of the Hospital. Smita Bhatt, she is assistant professor in Shastavitta department in Alvas Ayurveda Medical College and Hospital from Karnataka. Actually, I'm giving very brief introduction about her because I think the students and all other participants, they are not that much familiar to her, so that's why. So actually, whenever I went Alvas Ayurveda Medical College and Hospital for completing my PG degree on Shalatantra, that time she was my classmate, and that time the entire 3 years I observed her as very much kind-hearted, very much loving and caring person. Not only that, she was very much studious, and especially she is very much dedicated to her all the projects and all her studies and everything. That's why she always, among three students, always she was getting this placement and all. So that's why I'm today also I'm very much happy that at least she has accepted our invitations and she came today for this presentation. And today her topic is um, easy and healthy lifestyle. So warm-heartedly I'm requesting Madam to start her presentation towards our all the participants and all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Priyanka, for your warm welcome. I am overwhelmed with your brief introduction to me. Shall we begin? I am
Yes, ma'am.
audible, right? Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Shri Dhanvantare Namaha. Bowing to all my gurus, respected principal, all the teaching faculty of Rajiv Gandhi Memorial College, West Bengal. Yeah, coming to my and all the Ayurvedic lovers present in this group, coming to the topic proper, easy and healthy lifestyle. This topic itself seems to be a bit tricky and also apt for the present situation, isn't it? Easy and healthy lifestyle. So everyone wants to have a easy and also healthy lifestyle, isn't it? So what is health? Health is defined in WHO as a complete physical, mental, social well-being and not merely an absence of disease or infirmity. Next slide. Next slide, please. So what is lifestyle? The way in which, previous slide, the way in which a person lives, whatever activities are involved in it, the normal diet, sleep, occupation, any activities right from the beginning of the day till the end of the day, even including the sleep, is considered to be lifestyle. So it is very important to know what is lifestyle, what is health before I begin my presentation, that is easy and healthy lifestyle. What is lifestyle in Ayurveda? Exact correlation, I cannot give the term in Ayurveda, but still Ayurveda's prime motto is Swastasya Swastharakshana Aturasya Vikara Prashamana, that is maintaining the health of the healthy individual and curing or preventing the disease or curing the disease of an deceased person is the prime motto of Ayurveda. Similarly, next slide please. Other quotes also gives importance to health. Like Buddha says, to keep the body in good health is a duty. Otherwise, we shall not be able to keep the mind strong and clear. That is why health is very important. Not only physical, but also the mental health has got prime importance throughout our life. Acharya Charaka says, one who follows all the healthy regimens throughout his life can lead a healthy life for 100 years. That is, he quotes in the shloka as 38,000 night. 38,000 nights. So it is nearly to 100 years. It is quoted in Acharya Charaka. Next slide. So this is the importance of health which has been explained in various classics, not only in Ayurveda. So my question comes, how to be healthy then? All of us want to be healthy. How to be healthy? What does Ayurveda says? How our ancestors followed all the instructions given by the Ayurveda? How, what is the secret behind their health? Let us go into that. Manavo yena vidina swastas tishtati sarvada tameva karayet vaidyo yatah swastham tadepsitam. दिनचर्यां निशाचर्यां ऋतुचर्यां यथोदितां आचरन् पुरुषः स्वस्थः सदा तिष्ठति न अन्यथा. Acharya Bhava Prakasha in Dinacharya Adhyaya quotes that a person who is want of health, who is desirous of swastha life, then he is supposed to follow Dinacharya, Nishacharya. Nishacharya means Ratricharya, Rutucharya regularly. Then a person can live healthy throughout his life. So he quotes that a person should follow Dinacharya, a person should follow Nishacharya, and also the regimens in relation to Rutu. Then Sadvrutta, all those points are explained after explaining this shloka. So my question is whether the person can follow all the regimens, whatever is explained in Ayurveda in the present day. Is it possible? And the answer will be no from many of us because we are busy within ourselves with many of the activities. So today what I will try to do is, as the title suggests, easy and healthy lifestyle. I will quote some of the examples which are very easy to follow in our daily activities so that we can easily maintain our healthy life throughout our life as explained in Ayurveda. Next slide. So, Dinacharya. So, let me highlight some of the points from Dinacharya which helps us to maintain our health easily. First and foremost, in Dinacharya, we get the reference of Brahma Murta. What is Brahma Murta? We all know that Brahma refers to the knowledge, the time during which we are supposed to wake up for the purpose of attaining knowledge. Here, Brahma Murta refers to the sacred clip of nectar. It is half prahara, that is 3 or 1 hour 36 minutes before the sunrise. Why do we are supposed to wake up in Brahmi Murta? What is the reason behind that? It is very difficult for us, previous slide, it is very difficult for us to wake up early. If we follow Ayurveda or if we are interested in getting the healthy life, then if we wake up early in the morning, that is 1 hour 36 minutes before the sunrise, what actually happens in the nature is that the research works explain that nascent oxygen is present plenty during that period, and that is liberated early in the morning, which easily and readily mix up with the hemoglobin to form oxyhemoglobin, which nourishes the remote tissues rapidly. So that is the benefit of waking up in Brahma Muhurta. Even though Ayurveda has explained waking up early morning increases or helps in gaining the knowledge, this is what the modern research explains the benefit of Brahma Muhurta. After waking up in Brahma Muhurta, the next concept what is easily can be practiced is Dantadavana. It is, there is no person who doesn't brush his teeth, right? And next slide. So what does Ayurveda say? Ayurveda gives many examples in relation to Dantadavana. Many of the kashtas or the drugs to be used, twigs to be used for Dantadavana, like Negrodha, Udumbara, Arka, etc. Among that, Acharya Sushruta gives some Shrestha Dravyas based on the rasas. Like Madhuka or the Eshti Madhu is considered to be Shrestha among Madhura Rasa. For children, we can advise Madhuka for Dantadavana. So we have to take 12 angula pramana twig of Madhuka, and we are supposed to chew as shown in this image, and then make it like a brush and then rub it over the teeth. Similarly, Nimba. So, if at all, if you are interested, if you have gone through the Amazon, you might come across the Nimba twigs are sold in Amazon for Dantadavana purpose. Even though we Indians are not interested in Ayurveda, but the Western people are so much influenced with Ayurveda that they are interested to follow Dantadavana as explained in Ayurveda, because There are plenty of research works gone through on Dantadavana. See, I am quoting one example here. Comparative effectiveness of chewing stick and toothbrush. Actually, the miswak has been used as a research drug here. It was a randomized clinical trial where chewing sticks has revealed parallel and at times greater mechanical and chemical cleansing of oral tissues as compared to the toothbrush. It had that anti-plaque efficacy by the chewing stick, which had significantly demonstrated in this study, and it has been proved more effective in comparison to the toothbrush. So, those who are very much eager to or interested can follow this because it is a very easy method to follow Dantadavana. It is not just brushing with the dry twig. Even Ayurveda tells some of the churnas which can be mixed with madhu and applied over this twig and cleanse the teeth, like churna of shunti, pippali, maricha, tvak, ela, patra, saindavalavana, individually or together along with madhu can be used for Dantadavana, and I am sure that it has got very good result. Among the Tiktarasa, Nimba is considered to be Shrestha, and among the Katurasa, Karanja is considered to be Shrestha, and also among the Kashaya Rasa, Kadira drug is considered to be Shrestha. So these are the four drugs. Other than that, we have plenty which has been explained in our classics. Next slide. Those are we get the reference that in Dantadavana some of the conditions are contraindicated like Jwara, Atisara, Ajirna, where Dantadavana, that is especially rubbing with this twig is contraindicated, but use of the churna and rubbing over the teeth with the finger is can be done, or else Kavala Gandusha can be done. I don't say that only in the condition where Dantadavana is contraindicated, Kavala Gandusha can be done. Kavala Gandusha can also be done after Dantadavana. And I advise many of my patients and everyone to do Kavala Gandusha because it has got a tremendous benefit in oral hygiene. For example, the drugs explained in our classics are Panchakshiri Vriksha Kashaya, Triphala Kashaya, Tila Taila, then coconut oil, Madhu, Kshira, Mamsarasa, and many more. These are some of the examples for Kavala and Gandusha. Kavala is filling the oral cavity with little amount of medicated drug and then swishing the mouth till we feel that the oral cavity is full. Gandusha means without movement. We are supposed to keep the oral cavity filled with some of the medicated drugs for certain duration and then spit it out and then cleanse the oral cavity. And it has got a very good result in maintaining the oral hygiene. It removes plaques. It is beneficial in Danta Mamsa Roga, then halitosis, all the diseases in relation to oral cavity. The benefits explained in Ayurveda is Hanorbalam Swarabalam Vadanopachaya Paraha Syat Param Cha Rasajnanam Annesha Ruchiruttama. That is, it brings stability or bala to the Hanu region, that is the mandibular region, and it improves our swara, and also it gives complexion. So if you want to improve your complexion, so do regularly Kavala or Gandusha. Dantadarde Karam Ruchyam Sneha Gandusha Dharanam. That is the benefit of Sneha Gandusha, that is, it improves the strength of your teeth, and also because of which the gums become strong and will have a very good, clean, and sweet smile. And I would like to quote here that other than Ayurveda field also have done so much research work on this Kavala and Gandusha. To quote one of this, oil pulling and importance of traditional medicine in oral health maintenance. And they have got a very good result in this research that oil pulling has got very good result in oral health related to the diseases of oral cavity, disease related with the halitosis and gum disorders. And one more thing, those who suffer, those who eat spicy food, some of them tend to get mouth ulcers, and it is very common, right? I suggest those people to take oil pulling, that is Kavala with any of the oil, whichever is comfortable to them. Within 2 to 3 days, they get a very good result, and this I think this is very bacteria mouth also gets food very similar back to our lung. Next slide. So next easiest one is Abhyanga among the Dinacharyas. Nityam Sajara Shrama Vataha Drishti Pratushtya. So what Abhyanga says is supposed to do oil massage to whole body daily. What are the benefits? It removes jara or it postpones the old age, and it is beneficial to reduce vata dosha and also tiredness. It improves drishti and also it gives good sleep, and our the skin tone is improved. And Vagbhata says that if at all you cannot do Abhyanga to the whole body, at least Shira, Shravana and Pada, these three organs daily oil should be given. That is Abhyanga to the Shiras or Karna Purana or Pada Abhyanga. So what will be the benefit? Na Padayohu Sputanam. There won't be any cracks in the legs. Na Uchchair Shruti na Bhatyam Karna Shulagnam. If you do Karna Purana, that is Karna Purana, 2 drops of oil into your ears, is beneficial for improving your uh, hearing capacity, and the person won't suffer with any hearing loss, and the person will be devoid of Karnashula. The Rukshata within the ear will be removed. And if you do Padabhyanga, then there is Nidra Labha, that is a person can be benefited with Nidra. Those who are suffering with Nidra Nasha, then this Padabhyanga has got a very good result in improving the Nidra. So here in this context, I am highlighting especially the Shira Abhyanga and Pada Abhyanga than Karna Purana. Next slide. So the benefits of Shiro Abhyanga can be taken as 2 headings: preventive benefit and promotional benefits. Nityam sneharda shirasah shirashnayate na kalityam na palityam na keshaha prapatanti cha. So if we do Shiro Abhyanga, that is oil application to the head, to the hair, then Shira Nityam Sneha Ardha Shirasaha, that is Sneha, that is the oil to the head, Ardra, that is wet, getting wet with the Shiras with oil, Nityam, that is regularly, then the person won't suffer with Shirashula, that is the preventive benefit of Shiro Abhyanga. Na Kalityam, na Palityam, na Kesha Prapatanchita. So the person will never suffer with the hair loss or graying of, early graying of hair. बलं शिरः कपालानां विशेषेण विवर्तते दृढमूला च दीर्घाश्च कृष्णाः केशा भवन्ति च. So a person who really loves hair, want to have long hair, dark colored, black colored hair, then he has to do Shiro Abhyanga, which gives strength or which stabilizes or the strength of the hair becomes strong. That is Dridamula, the roots are very strong, and even it is long hair. Indriyani prasidanti sutvat bhavati cha ananam nidra labah sukam cha syan murdi tailam nishevanat. So this is the promotional benefit of Shiro Abhyanga, that is Indriya prasida. So Shira is the main part of our body which contains many of the Indriyas. All the Indriyas are present in the Shiras, and by the regular practice of Shiro Abhyanga, all our Indriyas will be, the capacity or the working capacity of the Indriyas can be improved by the practice of Shiro Abhyanga. So what does it mean? Shiro Abhyanga means you are supposed to keep oil throughout the day, or when to apply oil will be the question. That is, at least 1 hour before head bath, we are supposed to do Abhyanga, Shiro Abhyanga, so that after bath the oil will be removed and the dry hair will be, I don't say it should be totally dry, but the exposure to dust may cause dandruff. So the Shiro Abhyanga is advised before Snana. Next slide. I am highlighting about Padabhyanga here, again under the 3 headings: curative benefit, promotive benefit and preventive benefit. So as a therapeutic benefit of Padabhyanga, if a person suffers with cracked foot, then the Pada Abhyanga has got benefit on it. Regular application of oil to the Pada, both the sole and the Pada region, then it improves or it gives benefit in removing the cracked foot. Karatvam stabdata rauksham shramaha suptischa padayoho sadya eva upashamyanti padabhyanga nishevanat. So it removes the dryness, it brings it removes the supti, then it maintains the health of pada. जायते सौकुमार्यं च बलं स्थैर्यं च पादयोः दृष्टिः प्रसाद लभते मारुतश्च उपशाम्यति. By the practice of padabhyanga, your skin becomes smooth, especially the pada skin becomes smooth, soft, and you get sthirata. The pada becomes strong, and it is explained that it improves the eyesight. As per Ayurveda, it says that there is a nadi which connects to the eyes through pada. So regular practice of padabhyanga will improve the eyesight. The preventive benefit is if you practice regularly, then you will not be suffering with any of the disorders related to vata, especially the Gridrasi vata, then cracked foot. If you are having cracked foot, then it will be cured. If you are practicing regularly, if at all, if you don't have any cracked foot also, in future also, you will not be getting any cracked foot if you practice Padabhyanga. So my advice is, instead of applying any of the creams or any other chemical products, it is good that we practice Abhyanga with any of the oil. I don't say that you should do Abhyanga with the specific medicated oil itself. Any oil which is directly from nature, that is cooking oil also. I don't recommend refined oil, like whatever it is available to in your place, like coconut oil in South India, Tila Taila in Tamil Nadu, mustard oil in North India, whatever oil which is explained in Ayurveda, because all these oils are explained based on your Prakriti. Practice Padabhyanga and also Shiro Abhyanga for the hair of your choice. Next slide. So these are some of the general benefits of Abhyanga. Tvachascha Parama Abhyangaha. So if you practice Abhyanga regularly, then there is no other procedure which is that best as Abhyanga. The benefit what you get from Abhyanga, it is the most or the topmost benefit, that is, it is good for skin. So if you want a glowing skin, if you want a smooth, beautiful skin, then regularly practice Abhyanga. So this is one of the easiest and healthy lifestyle which we can practice regularly. I don't say you should do Abhyanga daily in the morning and sit for 30 to 40 minutes doing massage all your body. No, it is just 5 to 10 minutes. Just apply oil. If you are doing it daily, then it is around 5 to 10 minutes, more than enough. And take a hot water shower, which will give you very good result on your skin, because all the sweat pores will absorb all the active principles present in the oil, and our mucous membrane is very much sensitive for the lipids, so that all the active principles present in it will give its very good result. नच अभिघात अभिहतं गात्रम् अभ्यङ्गसेविनः विकारं भजते अत्यर्थं बलकर्मणि वा क्वचित् सुस्पर्श उपचिताङ्गश्च बलवान् प्रियदर्शनः भवति अभ्यङ्गनित्यत्वात् नरो अल्पजर एव च. So if you want to look young throughout your life, then practice Abhyanga. That is what Alpajara eva cha. Your lifespan will be improved and you will not look old, even if you are numerically or your age wise, even though you are old, but you will not look older. So next, what we can do as our easy lifestyle is, we can go, I would like to highlight about Vyayama. Next slide. So I was explaining about the shloka of Abhyanga, where at last I was telling about Alpajara, and also not only Jara. The benefit, the general benefit is, if our body becomes so strong that we will not be get that affected to any of the injuries, and even the skin is strong that the injuries also can be cured easily. Next, the topic is Vyayama. In the present day, when compared to olden days, the Vyayama is different, isn't it? If see that is the secret of the health of our ancestors. The whole day they are indulged in one or the other activities. As you can see in the image, the water drawing from the well. That was their part and parcel of their life. Early morning, after they will wake up in Brahmamurta, and then they will start drawing water from the well, and it itself is a vyayama. And also the grinding mortar which is used for their cooking purpose, they will be busy with that work also, which gives very good vyayama or the exercise to their sharira. I don't say that now you wake up and do this water drawing work or grinding work, but that is the secret of their health. I am highlighting it. So what is vyayam according to Ayurveda? Sharirayasa jananam karma vyayama sanyitam. This is the reference from Ashtanga Sangraha. Any activities which gives ayasa or the tiredness to the sharira can be considered as vyayama. What are its benefit? Lagavam karma samartyam स्थैर्यं दुःख सहिष्णुता दोषक्षयो अग्निवृद्धिश्च vyayama So the vyayama brings laguta or the lightness to the sharira, improves our working capacity, that is karma samarthyam. Stairyam, it brings stability to the sharira. Dukkha sahishnuta, that is the capacity to withstand tiredness or any of the dukkha. Dukkha here refers to the physical dukkha rather than the mental dukkha, the pain. Okay. Doshakshaya here refers to kafakshaya. Agni that is your digestive fire, will be improved by the regular exercise. So what type of vyayama I will suggest here is any activities which creates tiredness. So what are the activities or vyayama explained in Ayurveda is told in the next slide. So next slide. Chankramana, that is walking. Ratha, Gaja, Ashwayana, traveling in Ratha or Gaja or Ashwa. Bharaharana, that is weightlifting. Padagata, that is massage to the legs, or you are giving massage through with the help of your legs on others. Then Shastra Karma, any Yuddha Abhyasa. Dhanur Akarshana, that is archery. Sarasarishu Plavana, that is swimming. Vyayamo atra nyuddha adva shila nirgatajo hitaha. That is, nyuddha is wrestling, adva is walking, shila nirgataja is lifting the stones or hard work what our laborers do. So these are some of the examples of vyayama explained in Ayurveda, out of which Sarasarishu Plavana, that can be done now. Chankramana, walking can be done now. Weightlifting to some extent can be done now, but not for the students. Okay, so what we can do is cycling, jogging, walking, all these exercise per day in a systematic way. If we practice, then it becomes as vyayama itself. Next slide. So even Ayurveda explains that based on the Rutus, they has given some of the kalas during which we can practice vyayama. That is in Vasanta Rutu, Purvanna, that is around 6 to 9 a.m. In Hemanta Rutu, Pratyusha, that is around 4 to 6 a.m. And in Pravrit Rutu, they have told it as 5 to 7 p.m. that is Aparanna. Why specifically during this time vyayama is indicated? If we observe all the three time also, our stomach will be empty during this period. And if we go into the modern correlation, vyayama or the exercise is indicated in the empty stomach. So that may be the reason why our class 6 have given this specific time for this vyayama during these rutus. What about other rutus? Varsha and Grishma Rutu is considered to be as the contraindicated kala for vyayama, because during that Rutu, Vata dosha, Grishma because of extreme heat and Varsha because of Vata dosha dominance, these two Rutus, vyayama is contraindicated. Similarly, Madhyana and Madhyaratri. Madhyana is the lunch time, Madhyaratri is the sleeping time. Hence, these are contraindicated for vyayama. I hope vyayama usually that this is this topic is understood and it can be practiced easily. See some of the activities as mentioned in this image that can be considered as vyayama. Other than these activities, it becomes incomplete if I don't say about yogasanas, pranayama, which also gives some vyayama effect to the sharira. So next slide, please. What is yoga? Yujyate anena iti yogaha. Geranda Samhita, that is one of the book which explains about Hatha Yoga. Acharya Geranda, while explaining the benefits of yoga, he explains that Nasti Maya Samaha Pashu, Nasti Yogat Parambalam, Nasti Jnanat Parobandhu, Na Ahankarat Parorupu. He highlights that there is no other enemy, not enemy, the Maya, the illusion, like which acts as pasha, that is illusion is considered to be the highest pasha. Similarly, yoga is considered to be the highest. There is nothing superior than yoga which gives stability to the sharira. Similarly, jnana is considered to be the best friend of ours, that is nasti jnanat paro bandhu, that is jnana, our knowledge is considered to be the closest friend of ours. And similarly, ahankara is considered to be the most deadliest enemy to us. So that is the highlight of yoga or the importance of yoga explained in Geranda Samhita. We all know the various streams of yoga like Raja Yoga, Hatha Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, etc., among which Ashtanga Yoga is considered to be the easiest one to be practiced in these days, especially for the students. Out of the Ashtangas are Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. This the prime motto of yoga is to reach samadhi or moksha, but in the student life, or what we can preach to the general public, is the therapeutic benefits of yoga, because now yoga is well advanced and it is reaching to everyone, because our government has given it that importance that we are celebrating International Yoga Day yearly. So let me highlight Yama Niyama. We all know it, and I expect that we practice this regularly. Pancha Yamas, Pancha Niyamas, Ahimsa Satyam Asteyam, Brahmacharyam Parigraha, Niyama, similarly Tapa, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana, Shaucha, Santosha, all the 5 types of Niyamas, Shaucha, Santosha, Tapa, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana. If you, that's in simple words, these are the rules and regulations or the principles to be followed to maintain our health. After that, I would like to highlight asana. Next slide. So this is Surya Namaskara, a series of 12 physical posture. Even though we don't get the exact classical reference of Surya Namaskara in any of the Samhitas, but it is practiced as a group of asanas practiced in a series as a salutation for Lord Surya. It involves our physical, mental and spiritual well-being. We can see by the practice of this Surya Namaskara. Here we come across 12 physical posture with alternate backward and forward bending, which flex and stretch the spinal column. Here the whole body is involved, because of which all the muscles get activated, and if we practice along with the mantras, it has got spiritual benefit too. Next slide. I would like to quote some of the asanas as example. I don't say that we should practice only these asanas, but some of the asanas for the preventive benefits, that is for the healthy individuals, they can practice these asanas. Along with this, if they are interested, they can practice the advanced asanas also. But these are some of the basic and easy asanas, because as I have highlighted the easy and healthy lifestyle, I am highlighting some of the easy asanas in this context, like Kati Chakrasana, Ardha Kati Chakrasana, then Trikonasana, Padahastasana, are some of Vrikshasana, some of the asanas in standing. Here in the image, you can see 3 of the standing asanas: Ardha Chakrasana, Kati Chakrasana, then Trikonasana. Similarly, in the prone postures, Shalabhasana, Makarasana, and Bhujangasana. If you practice this asanas regularly, you can maintain your health. And those who want to maintain a flat tummy, these asanas will be very beneficial, and also your waistline will be maintained very well, and you can maintain your health. Once your waistline and abdomen start growing, then it is a sign of ill health. So that can be maintained by the practice of these asanas regularly in a daily basis. Next slide. These are some of the examples for sitting and supine asanas. In sitting asanas like Vajrasana, Siddhasana, Swastikasana, Gomukasana, then Padmasana, Ardha Matsyendrasana. These are some of the easy asanas which can be practiced. Like while practicing these asanas, we can practice pranayama, we can practice meditation also, that will help us for maintenance of health. In the supine asanas like Halasana, Setubandhasana, Pavanamuktasana, all these asanas will be helpful for maintaining our health by improving the digestive fire, by maintaining the waistline, by maintaining the flatness of the abdomen, and all the muscles of the body gets activated by the practice of these supine asanas. And in Shavasana, if we practice relaxation, and that helps to calm our mind and gives good sleep, therefore we can maintain our health. Next slide. So I would like to suggest that if we practice at least half and 30 minutes to 45 minutes of asanas daily along with pranayama and meditation, that will help in the maintenance of health. Pranasya ayamaha pranayamaha. The benefit or the high importance of pranayama is explained in this shloka as pranayamena yuktena sarva roga kshayo bhavet. Ayukta Abhyasa Yogena Sarva Roga Samudbhava. Hatha Yoga Pradipika explains that if we practice pranayama regularly, then the therapeutic benefit is it has Sarva Roga Kshayakara. That is, it will remove all the disorders, or it will cure all the diseases. But if we don't practice in a proper way, then it is the cause for all the disease. So that is very important, because even though we feel it as it is just a breathing exercise, it is not so. It has got an effect on all the pranas, like the what we call as pancha vayu in Ayurveda. These are considered as varishta prana in yoga. So this pranayama has got an influence on all these prana, that is the vital energy of our sharira. Therefore, the pranayama has to be practiced steadily and carefully. Nadi Shuddhi pranayama, that is inhalation through the left nostril, then retention and exhalation through the right, and again inhalation through the right and retention and exhalation through the left. This is considered to be the Nadi Shuddhi pranayama, one round. If we practice at least 20 per day, then that will benefit. It has got many benefits, especially on the nidra, and as the name suggests, it clarifies, or it does the shodhana of all the nadis. And Hatha Yoga says that our body contains around 72,000 of nadis, especially in that Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. For awakening of the Sushumna nadi, this pranayama has got a great role, and that are all its the spiritual benefits. If we come into the health benefits, it is got Sarva Roga Kshayakara. That is the prime importance of Nadi Shuddhi pranayama. So, and it can be practiced by everyone in every rutus. There is no contraindication that it should not be practiced by anyone. So that is the easiest pranayama which can be practiced by everyone. Along with that, those who have got Pittaja Vikaras, or those who are dominant of Pitta Prakriti, can practice with Shitali pranayama, Sitkari pranayama, which cools the sharira and cools the mind also, so that a person can get good sleep. Next slide. So one more concept what we get from yoga is mudra, especially explained in Hatha Yoga. We don't get this in Raja Yoga, the concept of mudra. As you can see the images of various mudras in the slide. What is mudra? Mudra is a mark or a gesture which influence the energy within the body. the classical references of mudra is available in Gairanda Samhita, Hatha Yoga Pradipika, where Gairanda Samhita explains about around 25 mudras and Hatha Yoga Pradipika explains about 10 mudras. But these are the Sarvanga mudras where whole body is involved. Like it mimics the asanas, but it has got some breathing patterns along with Jnana mudras and some of the bandhas involved in it. Other than that, that is bit difficult to practice, so I am not highlighting in this presentation. I'll be highlighting some of the easy mudras that are hasta mudras where fingers are involved. What yoga explains is that our 5 fingers depicts the Pancha Mahabhutas. I hope the slide, the image is visible to you. The ring finger, starting with the ring finger, it tells about it. It mimics or it represents the earth or the Prithvi, whereas the little finger tells about water, the thumb about fire tattva, and the second finger air, and the third finger is ether. Prithvi up, Tejo, Vayu, and Akasha, the 5 Mahabhutas which are depicted or represented in the 5 finger tips. And it is believed that our body has got some of the points, vital points, which helps or which liberates energy from our body. So when we sit on the floor, our energy is eliminated or liberated or what to say, it has gone outside of the body, the energy gets liberated off from the body. So fingers are the some of the points from where the prana shakti is liberated from the sharira. So what yoga explains is, if we practice mudra using our fingers, the vital energy what is liberated from our body can be retained within ourselves, so that we can attain healthy life. And also it has been practiced therapeutically also, some of the mudras for curing some of the disease. The definition of mudra is mudra yati klesham iti mudra, that which removes pain and sorrow is called as mudra. Next slide. So in next slide, I have given some of the mudra. So in mudra, there is lot many concepts explained. I will be highlighting some mudras where by the practice of these mudras, these Pancha Mahabhutas can be kept in a balanced state. So that is why they are called as balancing mudra. Those who are interested for mudra can go through because these mudras are explained in Abhinaya Darpana, and there are some mudras which are explained in Bharatanatyam also. But these mudras, what I have highlighted in this slide, are used for therapeutic benefits also, and also curative, also preventive benefits also. These mudras are explained. So coming why it is balancing, because tip of any fingers when touched with the thumb, it is a rule that those mahabhutas are in a balanced stage. That is why these are the examples for balancing mudras. You come across, if you see into the slide, Jnana mudra, the second finger and the thumb are in connection, so that 2 Mahabhutas are in the balanced stage, and it has been used for dhyana purpose. Then Akasha Mudra, that is the third finger and the thumb are in connection, and here Akasha Tattva is maintained in the balance stage, which helps to so if you practice Akasha Mudra regularly, we can get stability over the body. And those who have got hearing difficulty, those who have got problem with the ears, can practice with Akasha Mudra, so that the balance or the sharira or the body stability can be attained by the practice of Akasha Mudra. Prithvi Mudra, that is the little finger, Prithvi Mahabhuta is involved there along with Agni Tattva. So here the Prithvi Mahabhuta is maintained with stable region. That means it is maintained or it is balanced. So if you practice Prithvi Mudra, those who are interested to gain weight can gain their weight by the practice of this Prithvi Mudra. That is its therapeutic benefit, but it improves or it maintains the Prithvi Mahabhuta. Similarly, are other mudras which you can see in the image. Prana Mudra, that is little finger and the ring finger along with the thumb. Vyana Mudra, that is Vyanavata gets activated or maybe balanced. That is a little middle finger and the index finger along with the thumb. Apana mudra, that is third and fourth finger, middle finger and ring finger along with the thumb. Similarly, leaving the little finger remaining, all fingers are together with the tips. Only the tips are in connection, not the whole fingers are in connection, only the tips. There are other rules, like if the tip of the thumb is placed at the base of the other fingers, then the other tattvas, the which opposite tattva will be reduced. And if the finger, other fingers, that is other than the thumb, if other fingers are placed at the base of the thumb, then it has got some other effects. So there are some that I am not going to highlight. I am just highlighting the tips that to maintain the balance, that because I am highlighting the healthy and easy lifestyles to maintain health regularly. What have I told the other rules, that is for the therapeutic benefits. Okay, so these are some of the examples of mudra which can be practiced for 5 minutes, because these are easy mudras. There is no rule for that you should sit in Padmasana, you have to close your eyes. Not like that. When you are traveling, when you are seeing TV, when you are busy in your mobiles, you can keep any of the mudras in your hand so that you can control the liberating tattvas from your sharira. Next slide. So these are some of the matters what I have told in relation to Vyayama and Yoga. So it becomes incomplete if I don't touch Ahara, because Ahara is one among the Trayopastamba, and in the lifestyle of Ahara has got its great role to maintain our health. So let us go into the Nitya Sevaniya Ahara, which is told in Ayurveda. See the beauty of Ayurveda and the how our acharyas are intelligent to know about the Nitya Sevaniya Ahara. See the drugs, whatever Ahara Dravyas Ayurveda has explained, see into it. When we go into its nutrients level, we will be so astonished that it contains everything. Whatever nutrients, what the modern science explained today, the carbohydrate, protein, vitamins, minerals, fat, whatever is there, that is there in the drugs, whatever as told as Nitya Sevaniya Ahara. It may be Shashtika Shali, Goduma, Mudka, Saindava, Kshira, Grita, Madhu, Amalaki, Draksha, Sunishanaka, Jivanti, whatever the Ayurvedic scholars in Charaka, it may be Charaka or Vagbata, who has highlighted about the Nitya Sevaniya Ahara, that is the Ahara which has to be consumed daily, has got all the nutrient values what we need in today's life. What the modern science tell about balanced diet, what we are supposed to take in a daily basis, that is told by our acharyas in long ago as Nitya Sevaniya Ahara. That is compulsorily we are supposed to take these foods. So look into that. It has got carbohydrate. See, Shashtika Shali, it is rich in vitamin B. If you go to Goduma, it contains all the minerals, proteins, and carbohydrate. And coming to the antioxidants, in the present day, antioxidant is a well-known concept to everyone, and it is highlighted that the food which we are supposed to consume, the food which is rich in antioxidants, right? So if you see this Nitya Sevaniya Ahara, they are all rich in antioxidants. See Mudga, it contains flavonoids, phenolic acid. Shira, it contains protein, it contains calcium. If you go into Grutta, it is saturated fat and vitamins. Amalaki, it is rich source of antioxidant, and it is proven in the present days that Amalaki consumption daily, which helps to and it has got an anti-aging property, that is it gives us long lifespan. Draksha, rich in flavonoids, minerals, vitamin C. So antioxidant which has got a property to work against the free radicals and oxidation process. So because by the regular consumption of that, we can improve our lifespan. The same thing, no, we get it from the Rasayana concept. Amalaki Rasayana, if you take regularly, the Chavana Maharshi has got his Yauvana back. Right, that is what is explained in Ayurveda. Similarly, now the present research works also tell the same thing. The food, whatever is told in Nitya Sevaniya Ahara, has to be consumed daily because it is rich in antioxidants. So it is quite interesting, and also we have to salute our acharyas that they have explained it so very well and easily acceptable that they are really intelligent, isn't it? So coming to the next slide. So it is very important when to have food. Is it so that we can eat the food whenever we feel? Do we have to keep on eating? Because it is a quite a natural phenomenon of all of us that our mouth doesn't sit empty. It keeps on munching one or the other thing, but it is not good for the health. If we want to have a healthy life, then the tip is we are supposed to have food whenever we are only hungry. Only if we get that hungry. How to say that we are hungry? There is a reference, that is Udgara Shuddhi. That is, we should get Udgara Shuddhi. That is, we should not get any belching of the previous food. And all the Vegas should be properly eliminated. Bowel should be normal. Mutra should be normal. Then only we can have the food. That is the niyama told in Ayurveda. Kshut sambhavati pakveshu rasadosha maleshu cha kaleya yadiva akalesa annakala udahritaha. Only when we feel hungry, then only we are supposed to take food. That is what is quoted in Yogaratnakara. Similarly, Bhava Prakasha also tells that Yama Madhye na Bhoktavyam Yama Yugmam na Langayet. So, when are we supposed to take food? Whether 4 times a day, 5 times a day, 3 times a day, 2 times a day, that is a question. Ayurveda says that 2 annakala, that is Prataha and Sayam, only 2 times, that is one in the Pratakala, another in the Sayam. Similar, that is told by Sushruta. Similarly, Bhava Prakasha, little more he explains that Yama Madhyena Bhoktavyam. After Yama, that is around 3 to 4 hours. One prahara, one yama is one prahara, that is 3 to 4 hours. A person, once if a person consumes full stomach food, then he is not supposed to take food for 3 to 4 hours. That is the main thing. Yama madhyena bhoktavyan. One should not take food in between 3 to 4 hours after consumption of a specific food. Yama yugmam na langayet. That is 2 yama. A person should not do or should not keep the stomach empty more than 2 yama kala, that is 6 to 7 hours. A person should not, after beyond 6 to 7 hours, a person should not keep the stomach empty. So that means around 5 hours gap a person can give between the 2 meals. If at all a person is hungry, then he can take some of the fruits in between. Okay, so that is what is explained in Ayurveda for Ahara Sevana Kala. Next slide, please. So this is very interesting. This is very interesting, and I feel that we are not following this path. See, in Bhava Prakasha, we get a reference of various plates as Bhojana Patra and its benefit. And I do agree we can't follow all this, but some part we can follow. Like we can't use Swarna Patra for eating, and but still in those days that was practiced and their benefit is explained. Like Swarna Patra is Patya in nature, Swarna Patra, the silver is Pitta Hara in nature, Tamra Patra is Krimihara and Ushna in nature, Kansya Patra is Buddhi Prada and Ruchya. Having food in leaf, banana leaf, that is Deepana in nature. And other vessels like iron vessel, Spatik or Kancha Patra, that is Siddhikaraka, Shota, Panduhara, Kama, Kamala Paharata. It is good in Kamala condition. And also the plates which are from stone or the mud, that is are Srinivarana, that is Lakshmi Hara in nature. So that is not that good for consumption. That the plate should not be used for food intake. So among this, we can't practice with silver or gold or tamra or all these vessels in the present day, but we incline to the colorful plates of plastic, and it is highly toxic in nature, which should not be practiced at all. I personally suggest either leaf or a steel plate, which is good or ideal to this generation or to this time. Next slide. What are the rules of food intake explained in Ayurveda which can be practical for this present day too? And according to Charaka Vimanasthana, he explains that the quantity of the food should be such that the stomach can be divided into four parts. First two parts with the Ganahara or the Guru Ahara, third part with the water, and fourth part should be empty for Vayu Sancharanartha. That means our stomach only should be filled with the three parts and the one part should be empty. And order of a food intake, what Bhava Prakasha explains, also Sushruta explains, is that first we are supposed to consume Madhura Ahara, and Shashtika Shale is Madhura in Rasa. Similarly, Goduma also Madhura in Rasa. So we are supposed to consume that first. And next is Amla Lavana Rasa, that are the curries, whatever we consume are Amla Lavana in nature. After consuming that, we are supposed to take Katutikta Kashaya Rasa in the order. That is, ending the meals with buttermilk or dadi. That is what the classical reference is explained for order of rasa based on the rasas. And also Bhava Prakasha tells that first we are supposed to take some food like roti or chapati, which is mixed, or little amount of ghee should be smeared over that along with some of the sabjis, and then little amount of rice at the end with dhadi or buttermilk. That is the order what Bhava Prakasha and Yogaratnakara highlights. Then, based on the Guru, Lagu and Drava nature, a rule says Guru should be taken to the half capacity, that is Ardha Sauhitya. Lagu, a person can take till the Tripti, till the satisfaction, Lagu Ahara can be taken, and Drava Ahara also till the Tripti a person can take. But Guru should be till half the capacity. And one more concept what we can follow is, we are not actually following it. That is why I want to highlight it. The fruits. What type of fruits can be taken before food and what to be taken after food? What should not be taken before the food? That is what I want to highlight here. Dadi Madi fruits should be consumed at the beginning of the meal. So these are the citric fruits. Dadima, it may be orange or musambi. Any citric fruits. These fruits have got the capacity to enhance the digestive fire, though that is why we are supposed to consume it in the beginning or the starting of the food. Before we start the meals, we can take that fruits. And Bhava Prakasha says that Vina Mocha Phalam Tad Varjaniya Chakarkati. This is very, very important, this line. See, Vina Mocha Phalam, that we don't eat that. Banana should not be consumed in the beginning of the meals, because it is guru in nature, so it will have the effect on our digestive fire. Similarly, karkati, but what the present day, what we are following the Western culture is that we eat salads, especially the cucumber we eat in the beginning. And Ayurveda says we should not consume it in the beginning. It can be consumed only after the meals. So this point we can follow, so that it is easy to, that we are not supposed to eat it in the before the meals. We can have it after the meals. This changeover in the lifestyle, especially in relation to ahara, can be practiced to maintain our health. And I hope it is easy too. Next slide. And the concept about jalapana. So we get many references in the present day that we are supposed to drink 4 liters of water, 8 liters of water, and the quantity is suggested, right? And when to consume water, that is also not told so properly, but Ayurveda explains that if we consume the water, and especially water should be consumed along the food intake, but it should be in the alpamatra, only little bit in between the meals. Water should be consumed. That is what Bhava Prakasha says, because we have to change from Madhura Rasa to Amla Rasa to Lavana Rasa. That changeover of 6 rasas is told, right? To just give the difference in taste, so that we can enjoy the taste difference, we are supposed to take some of the sips of water. That is what is told in Ayurveda. But that practice is not done in our lifestyle, that we don't give importance to that. Whenever we want, we consume water. But see, what he tells is, Bhuktasya Adav Jalam Pitam Karshyam Mandagni Doshakrat. madhye agnideepanam, shreshtam ante staulyam kapapradam. So if you drink plenty of water before the food or just before starting the food intake, then it will end up in karsha, and also your agni will be reduced, and it is karana for the dosha vriddhi. Similarly, if you take along the meals, then it is agni dipana. That is what Ayurveda explains. I have already highlighted that when you take food, if you take or if you drink water, then it is good for your health. Shreshtam, see, madhye agnideepanam shreshtam, ante staulyam kapapradam. So if you drink water after consuming the food, after the meals, some have the habit of drinking water too much. That will end up in staulya. So that person will end up in gaining weight and also kapha dosha vriddhikaraka. So that is the highlight of Jalapana, when to drink and how much to drink. Trishitastu nacha ashniyat, kshudito na pibet jalam. Trishitastu bhavet gulme, kshuditastu jalodari. So if a person is thirsty, then he is supposed to drink water and not have the meals. And if a person is hungry, and he is not supposed to drink water and fill the stomach. That is what Bhava Prakasha says. That opposite things we are not supposed to do, but we don't follow that. Whenever we feel hungry, sometimes if we have water with us, then we will drink one bottle full of water, so that we will our hunger is subside. That should not be done. If at all, if you do, if we drink water when we are hungry, then we will end up in gulma, and when we are hungry, if we drink water, then we will end up in jalodara. That is what Bhava Prakasha says, and this also it is easy. I feel we can follow it properly. Next slide. So I feel it is so far I have told what to be done, what easy steps can be changed in our life to maintain our health. And I feel it is necessary to highlight what not to be done. So these are some of the examples, do's and don'ts in our life. So Ayurveda says that we have now in the present day, we have the habit of consuming food in over sitting over a chair and placing food on the table. And Ayurveda says we are not supposed to do that. Bhava Prakash especially highlights that our food should not be kept above the knee height level, because we don't come across the quantity of food what we are consuming. So it is ideal to sit on the floor and have meals on the banana leaf or the steel plate. So in the next, I have highlighted the plastic plate and the steel plate. In plastic plate, it is not good because microplastics can be entered into our stomach, and it is highly toxic. And related with the water bottles or the containers, plastic containers has to be avoided because of the microplastic and whatever it may be. Here in the image I have highlighted only the plastic plate, plastic bottle and plastic container. Even the food or the vegetables we chop in the plastic board, and that also has to be uh, avoided, and it should not be practiced. That is what I like to highlight here. And in the beginning of dinacharya, mala mutra visarjana is told, and we are very much inclined towards western culture, that we use western commodes, and Indian toilets are not used in the recent days, and the squatting position is considered to be ideal, and many research works have highlighted that Indian method, that is the squatting position, is ideal for mala visarjana, and the western commode are not supposed to be used because it has an impact on the rectum, that it squeezes the rectum, and the proper elimination of bowels cannot be possible with that commodes instead of Indian toilets. Next slide. And nidra, this is one among the Trayopastambhas. It is very important that we in these days, nidra is not like sleeping. We don't follow the right time for sleeping. We know the benefits of nidra, as it is sukhakaraka, pushtikaraka, balya, vrishya, and jnanakaraka, and also it improves lifespan as told in this shloka. But if we don't follow it, we don't get the proper benefits. It will end up in dukhakaraka, karshya, klibata, and ajnana, and all finally the death. That is what Charaka explains in 21st chapter of Sutrasthana. He also tells that untimely sleep, excessive sleep, or devoid of sleep may destroy the happiness and lifespan. We do jagarana, that is we sleep in the late night and wake up in the late morning. So there is ratri jagarana and also divaswapna. What happens if you do ratri jagarana? It is rukshakaraka. So the one of the cause for crack foods or dryness of skin is ratri jagarana. If you do divaswapna, then it increases kapha. So it will what is happening is it is completely affecting your biological cycle. So what Ayurveda says is you are supposed to have food in the first prahara of the ratri and sleep within the second prahara, so that at the last prahara you can wake up for your jnana. That is the importance of nidra explained in Ayurveda, and also which can be practiced easily to maintain our health. Next slide. So these are some of the steps. There are many things which can be explained, but as the time constraint, I have highlighted some of the easy steps which can be followed in the present day, which has an impact on health. If we don't practice it properly, obviously there has been impact on your health, which leads to ill health. So with these lifestyle modifications, with these some examples, I would like also to highlight that relaxation is also very important. Playing or spending time with the family members, with the friend circle, with all the healthy lifestyle modifications will surely help in maintaining the health. I would like to quote a shloka as a conclusion, that is patye sati gadartasya kim aushada sevanaihi patye asati gadartasya kim aushada sevanaihi. That means if we follow patya, it may be ahara or vihara, whatever it is, then there is no necessity of any of the aushada. Ahara and vihara will itself be act as an aushada for ourselves, and we can maintain the health. Similarly, if we don't follow patya, it may be ahara or vihara, then the medicine doesn't have any effect or benefit over our health, and we are supposed to suffer with any of the illness. That is the highlight of this shloka, and I would like to highlight that patya is very important. Wherever we go in the classics, Swasthavritta is highlighted with patya itself. So this is what Ayurveda, which has been explained in the long back days. Similarly, Thomas Edison has highlighted the quote that doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will instruct his patients in care of the human frame, in diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. And we shall prove this same in the present day by following it, and also by instructing as a doctor to all the generation to follow the easy and healthy steps to maintain our health. Next slide. Hereby, I would like to thank everyone that I have got an opportunity to say some words in relation to some of the lifestyle modifications which are easy and healthy too, so that we can maintain the health. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, madam, for your lucid presentation. And definitely, I'm telling that it is really tremendous work, because you have covered all the, directions. I mean, for mudra, for yoga, and how to, which time should be it, and what kind of plates, what kind of utensils we should use. Everything you have
Yeah.
covered up. It's really,
Yeah.
and especially the mudra portion. This one also very less people are knowing that exactly how it's
Yeah.
working. Okay,
Yeah.
so really so nice presentation, and especially you have
Thank you.
put all the pictures nicely. I mean, this graphics work, this presentation also
Thank you.
was very nice.
Thank
Yes,
you.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
And this is the time for queries. So if
Yeah,
anybody is having any queries, they can ask
sure,
question directly
sure.
to madam.
Yeah, sure.
Here, madam, we are
Yeah,
getting so many chats.
yeah.
Actually, there it has been told many thanks to you, madam, for your super presentation. It
Okay,
has been told from our institution, our principal, and
okay.
so many other participants also congratulated you for
Thank you,
good presentation.
thank you.
And now, madam, I think
Huh.
other persons not having any question, but still from my side, I am asking one
Sure,
question.
sure, sure.
Yeah. So in
Huh.
this COVID situation,
Yeah,
so any extra precaution, I mean, for this maintaining of the easy day life, anything should
yeah.
we maintain?
Yeah, I would like to highlight the Kavala Gandusha, what I have told in today's presentation itself. We can do Kavala and Gandusha for the present COVID situation that will be very much beneficial. Along with that, whatever we know, like using of mask, maintaining the social distance, that is what we know everyone. So I don't want to highlight it once again. But in this present topic, I would like to highlight the Kavala Gandusha, which has got very good benefit. Along with that, the Nasya Karma with the Anutaila will be more helpful for maintaining our upper respiratory tract health. Along with that, some of the asanas what I have highlighted, and also Mudra, Dhyana will be helpful for our mental and spiritual well-being, so that we can maintain the health very easily. Because main thing is our mind. We know we should have that feeling that yeah, it is very easy to practice, and we can do it. We can, why not we try it for practicing it. So Kavala with the Tilataila, Kavala with the coconut oil, or any of the kashayas like a Trifala kashaya, Panchavalkala kashaya, or just warm water, boiled water with the Saindavalavana or turmeric, will be beneficial for maintaining the upper respiratory and also the general health, as because in throat region especially, that is COVID, main impact is on the upper respiratory and lower respiratory region, and I feel Kavala Gandusha has got very good impact in this situation. I hope my answer is clear.
Yes, yes. Thank you, ma'am, for this
Yeah,
nice explanation.
I
okay.
And
have a
I think some
question.
other question also came to
Ma'am,
our
I
chat
have a
box.
question, ma'am. I have a question, ma'am.
Yeah, yes sir, yes sir.
Ma'am, is there any practical implementity of the
Huh.
nasal irrigation?
Yes, sir.
That is
Sure, sure,
Dhoti
sure.
or Neti?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There is, and some of the, especially in Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra, some of the modern doctors have practiced it, and they have got very good result. That those who are practicing this nasal irrigation, especially it is
Yeah,
called
yeah,
as
yeah, yeah, madam.
neti in
In our
Shatkarma.
Bengal, in our
Yeah,
Bengal also, in
yeah,
doctors, in all the
yeah.
quarantine center, uh,
Yeah, yeah, they are
uh,
practicing it, and
uh,
then it is advised. There is benefit, sir, because it is giving the irrigating property, and it removes the whatever debris or whatever foreign bodies are present will be removed easily by the irrigation process, and therefore it has got very good result in this present day.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that also can be practiced.
Yeah. In our Bengal, it is also started in a
Okay,
modern
sir.
hospital
Okay.
also.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All are supporting that process now.
Okay. Thank you, madam.
Okay, thank you,
Yes,
sir.
ma'am.
Oh,
One question came to the chat box.
Yeah.
Is what by Dr. Dumate. She asked, what is
Uh,
the ideal time to do asana or exercise irrespective of season and prakriti of a person?
Ideal time is early morning is the right time, because practicing asana should be done in empty stomach. if a person cannot practice in the early morning, then evening time also can be done for the present days if the stomach is empty. The ideal thing is it should be empty. That is the main thing. Stomach should be empty, and the person should not have consumed anything. So I advise is early morning before the breakfast, and the person should not feel hungry also. That is main thing. It doesn't mean that empty stomach and I am feeling hungry and I am practicing yogasana. I should be empty stomach and but I should not be feeling hungry. That is the main thing that we should practice in early morning.
Okay, ma'am, it was a very nice presentation. Myself, Dr. Ruma De. The
Yes,
reason
ma'am.
behind the reason behind asking you the question is
Yeah.
this is this much in fashion that like
Yeah.
lifestyle been
Yeah.
modify those who want to change their lifestyle or people who
Yeah.
are fitness trainers and all
Yeah. Yeah.
advise people to go for some low carb diet or some protein diet just
Yeah.
prior to exercise or
Yeah.
just immediately after exercise. So
Yeah.
there's no concept of staying empty stomach before exercise. So
Yeah.
this is somewhat contradictory.
Yeah,
What
it is contradictory. We can't follow both hand in hand. So yoga, if you are practicing yogasanas, then it should be practiced as yogasanas. In the fitness center or somewhere where they advise about all those diets and all, they don't give importance to the diets, and the asanas are practiced as an exercise rather than the asanas. Yoga has got its own importance in physical and spiritual entity, so it has to be practiced in that. If we practice in that specific order only, we will get that benefit. Otherwise it just becomes like a exercise. So breathing pattern and concentration on our muscles, concentration on our body and mind is equally important when we practice asanas. So if that is not followed, then it becomes just an exercise. So empty stomach is very important for that matter, because that heavy abdomen, with that, if we do some of the asanas, then we will get the ill effect rather than the benefit. So I suggest that it should be practiced in empty stomach only.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. It
ma'am.
was a
Yeah,
very nice presentation and very much insightful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Ma'am, another question came to the chat box.
Yeah.
It is Shubhaji Chanda, one student. He asked that do's and don'ts of pranayama. Please explain, ma'am.
Do's and don'ts of pranayama, like depending, see, Shitali pranayama, that cools the sharira. See, Ashta Kumbhakas, that's pranayama is types, is explained in Hatha Yoga as Ashta Kumbhaka, where they have given importance to the retention rather than inhalation and exhalation. So if we practice just inhalation and exhalation, it is like we can't practice Kumbhaka in the beginning days. We can do only when we will reach to the higher levels, only then we can do the retention. So what they explain is inhalation is short, retention is longer than that, and exhalation is still more longer than that. That is the order or way how we are supposed to practice pranayama. But in the beginning days, we can't do that. So what don'ts I can say here is Shitali pranayama, for example, is a type of Kumbhaka. Out of the 8 types, Shitali pranayama is one among that. So it gives cooling effect to the sharira. So if you are healthy and you are inclined towards Shita guna, then if you practice Shitali for a longer duration, then you can get a negative effect out of that, because you are getting more Shita guna. That is, you are getting cold effects. Similarly, Surya Bhedana pranayama, it has got a heating effect. So if at all you are a Pitta Prakriti person, if you practice Surya Bhedana pranayama, then you will be more inclined towards heating action of that, and you may get Pitta dosha dominant, or Pitta dosha gets aggravated. So that are some of the negative effect of pranayama, but if you don't practice in a proper way. If you practice in a combination of pranayamas, then you will not have any negative effect. But main thing is when you practice pranayama, you are supposed to give importance. Like in Hatha Yoga, what they explain is starting of pranayama should be done in a proper season, and Varsha Rutu, you are not supposed to start the Yogaramba. If you are interested to practice yoga, then you are especially pranayama that should be started from Sharad Rutu. Varsha Rutu or Grishma Rutu is not indicated to start the pranayama practice. So if you practice, then you will not get the benefits. That is what is explained. Along with that, ahara sevana niyamas are also told. Like you are supposed to take satvik ahara, you are not supposed to take katu, amla, lavana ahara, and you are supposed to take milk or dadi. Only like such sattvic ahara should be consumed, and you are supposed to practice in such a place which is devoid of high breeze, and it should be calm, and it should be done in if you do it in the early morning, it is really very good. That is what is explained in classics for the practice of pranayama. So I have told it just in a simple way. I have not gone too deep into that topic. I hope it is
Thank
clear.
you so much, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Very nice explanation. No doubt. I think student he got yes already he appreciated here. Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. So very nice and lucid presentation and very much informative for everybody, I hope. And now I'm having one small announcement for tomorrow, because
Okay.
only we are having 2 days. Within 2 days, our entire webinar program is going to be finished yet. So tomorrow again we are having another presenter, Dr. Prasenjit Chatterjee. He already came previously, so I think everybody is familiar with him so much. So his topic is lung cancer, and timing is same like 7 p.m.
Okay.
So thank you again, madam.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank your principal, all the teaching faculty, and especially to you, Dr. Priyanka Ganguly, for giving me an opportunity for this presentation and bringing back the memory of our PG life. Thank you so much for the same. I am
Yes.
overwhelmed with your cooperation. I thank the principal and all the coordinators of this presentation. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Stay
Thank you
safe,
so much,
stay
ma'am.
healthy. I would like to wish pleasant health and healthy life for all of you. Happy and healthy life in future too.
Thank you
Stay
so much,
safe.
ma'am, and same to you too.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Okay.
So now the time came to say
Yeah.
goodbye,
Bye.
and afterwards,
Yeah.
again, tomorrow will
Okay.
be coming.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Bye. Okay.